Assalamu alaikum. You are tuned in to the Sajda channel. I'm your host, Sajda Wendy Muhammad, and we're going to be talking about how important our cortisol levels are for us, especially as conscious entrepreneurs, because we're in decision-making mode the majority of our day as not only entrepreneurs, but as conscious entrepreneurs. And so we want to talk about how this stress hormone should be controlled and how important it is that we make sure that we understand what's going on with us. We start to feel stress and we start to think, I feel like I'm experiencing burnout. So stay tuned. I'll be right back. We're going to jump right into it this morning. So we're going to say a quick prayer and we'll be right back at it.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judgest, and none can judge against Thee. And he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee. And I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
Assalamu alaikum, family. We're back and you're tuned into the Sajda Wendy Muhammad YouTube channel. We're going to make this quick and straight to the point this morning. We're going to talk about your stress levels. All right. Many of us as conscious entrepreneurs, because that's who we address here, right? Those of us who are trying to do for self, those of us who are interested in developing new business models and doing things in a way that is different from what we've been subjected to in the business world, and then sifting through and keeping what works and what makes sense. So because we are in that mode, it makes a lot of our decision making a little bit more intricate. Even sometimes the process, excuse me, I'm sorry, y'all get the real me. Even the process that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us about thinking 5 times before we speak, if we're not taking that time to think those 5 times, to tune in to Allah or the universe or Jesus or however we see it, tune into Allah and understand how we should best respond to this perhaps very stressful situation. Thinking that 5 times can be stressful as well, right? Because it may take you a minute to get out of your emotions and deal with the fact that you can't respond the way you want to. You know, sometimes you just want to fire back and be like, boom. And then once you think about it, you're like, all right, this is the best way to respond, right? So in the case of being an entrepreneur, decision making all day long, customer service, inventory, overseeing stuff, doing deals, vending, all of that requires decision making. Even how late you work. For a small business, that becomes important because you may have a family at home. You may have other things that you need to do that maybe staying late at this business may impact. You may need to go and cook for your husband. You may have to go and do something for your wife. You may just say, you know what, I have my other, businesses that I need to work on as well, because we all should be working on multiple streams of income. Okay. Just because you're retired and you get that one check, just because you're getting that one loan or that one grant, you should be thinking about other forms of income. I talk to people, especially entrepreneurs who are working to make that transition over and steal away. I'll tell you a technique that I used um, at the very beginning. So let's say I was working a job, and later I got to the point where I owned my own job and started doing work independently as an independent contractor before I started building my own teams and being able to do that kind of stuff. Um, the consulting world, if you don't know anything about it, can be very lucrative because oftentimes there's companies that may hire you for a long-term basis, and you may need to bring in a couple, two, three people to help you do whatever it is that the company needs. The key, though, to consulting is putting yourself in a position so that you can be of value and be utilized. So the client understands, like, this person is valuable and what I'm paying them makes sense. But anyway, having a job and then converting over to independent consulting, there were a lot of decisions that had to be made, but I also focused on multiple income streams. So I've probably done every single multi-level marketing you can name. And oftentimes, if I did a multi-level marketing and there weren't checks coming in, I didn't mess around with them. I think I got burned on quite a few of them, but it was just something that was offered to me, something that I could do with the network that I had created. And And so let's say I had a multi-level marketing. I think I was an ACN. I think there was some vitamins, all kind of stuff. But let's say one comes through and it's making me $350 a month. The way I would see that, and I know a lot of you all make this mistake, is you go, you know what, this ain't worth it. It's only paying me $350 a month, or it's only $1,500 a month. I make, $10,000 a month on my job, or I make whatever you make. And a lot of times we give up and we abandon that little side business. But let me tell you what that side business that's only bringing in $1,500 a month can do for you. You can decide what bills that little $1,500 a month pays you. And then when your brain begins to see that $1,500 a month or that $350 a month from that side hustle has value, it will start to figure out how to produce more. So, I would have a couple things that I work on that pay my cell phone bill. And then I may have another one that pays the office rent. And then I may have another income stream that pays the utilities. And then maybe I had my job or my independent contracting phase. And then as I'm spending time working them, different ones of them will mushroom and expand. So it's that thing that just keeps paying you, and it may start off slow, but don't diss it. And I tell you all the same thing in your business. You may say, okay, I serve food. I say, okay, what else can you sell? What's a retail item that you can sell? I'll give you an example. I do this in every business. I can give you so many, but I'll give you the medical center. We had a retail space where we sold compression stockings. We sold some serums. We sold T-shirts, coffee mugs. There were a few things in that little retail section. And one person might say, oh God, that, what is that doing? What is that doing for my business? Well, if it brings in $1,000 a month, that could be a salary, could be a part-time person you bring on. It could be part of a bill. And over time, that money will begin to grow if you play it right. So if you have your business and you say, well, you know, can some t-shirts or sweatshirts or coffee mugs really make that much money? And you frown upon it because what you're looking for is, I'm looking for that extra side thing that pays me $50,000 a month. That's a mistake. Something like that, something like a retail item, something like a coffee mug, for example, that you have, that you sell. That's if coffee mugs go with your business. Everything, here's the other thing. Everything don't go with everybody, okay? So if you see me selling coffee mugs and sweatshirts and t-shirts, doesn't mean that your demographic will buy that. I'm designing retail items that I know my demographic likes, like the oud oils, like the crystals. I know that my demographic is into that. Sweatshirts, shirts, we like to rep in a conscious way, things like that. But that retail item that you may offer in your store or inside your business that may bring in, again, I'm going to use the $1,500 a month, that little intern that's walking around that you're paying, that could be one or two of them. So you have to think of it that way. The more independence you can begin to create, the less at the mercy of someone else your business is. And this is a business strategy. Okay? So these types of things, those decisions can increase our stress hormone levels. If you're in a position where, you know, somebody making a mistake can really impact the flow of your business, then it can cause stress. And unless you're willing to let that person go who's causing that stress within the organization, you're going to continue to have that ongoing stress. But guess what? Even when you let go of that person, somebody else is going to come and bring you stress. So I wanted to talk to us today about our cortisol levels. Cortisol is a stress hormone. I'm going to show a video, and there's a lady here that did a great job at overviewing the cortisol. It's a stress hormone, okay, that helps us quickly go into fight or flight. You all know I've explained this a lot on this show, what fight or flight is. We haven't gone as deep as cortisol levels, but a lot of us, and I'll tell you, I'll share with you my own experience. When my businesses started to grow, and I think it's Meek Mills who said there's levels to this shit. When you're at a level, let's say 0 to 250,000 in revenue, that's going to bring you a certain type of enemy, right? 250 to 500, 500 to a million over, 10 million over. You're dealing with different people, different access. It changes things, all of which are new experiences. And when we got into the healthcare area, we're dealing in, it's already a stress environment because people are ill. They're coming to you for help. And if you really want to make sure that you do the right thing, you know, we're really studying and focusing and trying to make sure that we properly take care of people. But the enemy was a bigger enemy than what I think either of us were used to dealing with. And so that brought on a certain amount of stress, not because of resistance, but just staying in fight or flight and not really elevating my spiritual practices so that I could function more successfully on that level. And so at the beginning of that, I started to really gain weight. And I couldn't figure out why I was gaining weight. I was doing CrossFit and boot camp and, you know, all of that stuff. And what I learned was that it was my cortisol levels or my stress levels that were high. And so just by learning to manage that through certain spiritual practices, or let me say it this way, being intentional about my spiritual practices has helped me to manage that process. So it's natural. And let me say this. Don't let people who are constantly looking at you from the sidelines, judging you, impact how you analyze yourself and what you might be going through. Okay. That's a stress too, right? Because while people are on the sidelines calling you fat, you now are dealing with a $10 million enemy, and you may be used to deal with a $500,000 enemy. Why is it a $10 million, $20 million enemy? Because you jumped in the ring with some people who are at that level. And so now your threat level is there, and it's much more cerebral. It's much more strategic, right? And so making the transition for me as a consultant, if somebody would challenge or threaten me, it would be more, I could just work harder and outwork them. I could work smarter and outsmart them. In terms of tactical strategy, I didn't necessarily have to do that, because usually if I turned the heat up on my intelligence and on my time spent, I could outpace them. But when we got into being in a position where now we're competing against hospitals and people in the medical professional who are violent when it comes to defending their position, and you're also dealing with your safety being threatened, it's another level of threat. I didn't know that learning that was preparing me for where I am today. I didn't know that. I thought it was a temporary thing. So I kept resisting. And in the resistance, I elevated my cortisol levels, which impacted my weight. I was just pushing through, because I've never been a kind of person like, I just started learning how to take naps. I would meditate throughout the day, but I'd be tired and I just keep pushing. Excuse me, keep pushing, because there was stuff to do, right? On top of it, the adrenaline levels are there because I'm excited. I'm building a hospital. I'm building a surgery center. Nobody in my family's ever done this before. I'm making history. I'm breaking records. And so, but you're dealing with a lot. You're dealing with how you're accepted socially. You're dealing with, most times, the loss of maybe a certain social circle. And so all of these things bring us stress as conscious entrepreneurs. Why is this important? Because I believe that those of us who are in a certain position right now are going to see a mass escalation in our revenue levels, in our attention levels, in our customer levels, really in the next few months. I think it's going to start skyrocketing because, well, that's another show. But trust me on that. There's a couple reasons why. Give it the next 6 months, it's going to start really, really growing and expanding. Okay. And we're going to have to learn how to deal with this. And if you want to get religious about it and go into Revelations, if ain't but 144,000 of us gonna make it, I'll let you do the math. Anyway, let's talk about these cortisol levels. Let me show y'all this video, and I'm gonna get some water. Because I want us to be aware of this powerful concept so we can keep ourselves healthy as we're experiencing these massive growth spurts. Because a lot of us think that the minute we start getting money, it start flowing, we just start making it rain, we think everything's going to be all right. Now you got to manage, you got to go to another spiritual level so you can maintain there, so that you don't keep up a bunch of bad habits and somebody come and expose you and shut your business down. Hmm. So there's a lot more growth and development that has to happen really quickly, really quickly. So, even for myself, I just, I was like, okay, let's scrub the life, because not only are we wanting to make sure that we're manifesting at the right vibration and at the right level to match the assignment that I've been given, but we also want to make sure that we are able to tune in to what it is that God wants us to do so that we can be prepared to make the right decisions. But not only that, do we want to stay healthy? We got to stay healthy and beautiful and fine because we're in the face of the public. Not only that, we gotta understand that we're going to have a bigger enemy. It's going to require more strategy, more thought. It's not a situation where you can just outwork it. You got to think. You got to go to that God level of thinking. And I don't want our cortisol levels to prevent us from getting to that next level. Cortisol levels can prevent us from getting to that next level because they're going to cause our blood pressure to go up. It can affect our organs. It can cause diabetes. It can prevent us from being clear thinking. It could cause us to be overly aggressive. If we're in a position where we go off every time something happens, we get snappy. Well, that stress level can also impact how you move forward. And then once you get to a certain level, here's another thing. It's not whether or not you move forward. It's the speed at which you move forward that also has to be considered. Do I move fast or do I move slow? How do I set the pace? What is the speed of the project? So as we elevate, and I'm telling you, if we're in place and we're doing the right thing, we're living the right life, we ain't out here sneaking around at night doing stuff in the dark that we don't want nobody to see. Okay, I'll call it that. If we're mindful about how we use our tongue, how we handle people, no slack talk, no gossiping, no dogging people behind their back, no lying on folks. Get that together. Clean that up. Scrub your life, because in the next 6 months, we're going to see a massive flow of wealth and abundance coming to those of us in our community that are in the right position. You know why? Again, this is another show, but when you start seeing things like DEI being eliminated, I saw the DOJ on the federal level just say they spend $50 million on DEI a year, and they're no longer doing it. They're putting that money back in the treasury, and each federal government agency is pulling out and no longer requiring the states to practice or have DEI budgets. So it'll be up to the state. So it depends on what kind of state you live in, and then whether or not that trickles down to your city level. Here's what that may mean. A lot of jobs that were slated for Black or minority people are not going to be mandated. So there may be challenges when it comes to employment, even more challenges than now. If you're talking about programs, grant programs that have public or private free money, if you will, those are going to decrease tremendously. Why? Because if it's a government funded thing, see, even if you live in the city of Chicago and there's a certain amount of money allocated for minority businesses, that oftentimes is a trickle down from federal funds that come to that particular urban area. So when you see that dry up, you're going to see it dry up on a local level. Then you're going to see a tax on your private foundations and things like that. What I mean by tax is a rush on them. Everybody's going to be applying. There's going to be a lot of competition out there. In addition to there being a lot of competition out there, if they've got money invested in certain federal programs or even certain corporate programs, and those corporate programs are making certain dictates as well, their funds may very well be more limited. So there's going to be those of us that are in place with certain goods and services. People who couldn't get jobs there may come to us. Even when it comes to selling and buying things, see, prices are going to probably go up, because if vendors, for example, are in a position where when they sell products to a minority company, they offer a certain discount. You see that go away. That's going to trickle down to you and I who are buying wholesale. It's going to make the price of the good go up. If you are following the business model of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and you're focusing on the needs of the people, if your prices go up and what you offer is a need, then your revenue is going to go up. And this is not just going to impact Black people. This is going to impact the entire economy. There's going to be other incentives and other things that are going to be injected into it, but there's going to be a change. And some of these corporate battles that we're going to see happening, the shakeout, the earthquake from those corporate battles, when you couple that with DEI, is going to affect our community. Simple corporate battles that are likely going to start happening is in the healthcare industry, which are much needed, but you're going to see it and it's going to shake out. It's going to create an earthquake that is going to impact us. Let me get to this video, y'all. I want y'all to know about these cortisol levels.
When a person is feeling toxic stress or undergoing or living through a trauma, what happens to their brains is that it produces an abundance of cortisol. And as a result, cortisol is a hormone and our brain starts swimming in it, and it disrupts the part of our brain called the prefrontal cortex, which is the area of our brain that helps us to think. It's the thinking part of our brain. It's responsible for our attention span, our decision-making, our problem solving, and our emotional regulation, which is key. So whether school is open or they're learning virtually, children are finding themselves in a constant state of elevated arousal and are living day to day in what is called a fight, flight, or freeze mode. Because when our cortisol raises to that level, the part of our brain that takes over is our amygdala. And the only thing that an amygdala can do is fight, flight, or freeze. It's the oldest part of our brain, and it was very useful a long time ago. It's not that useful anymore. So as a result, children with this abnormal cortisol pattern that's induced by toxic stress are at a very high risk for aggressive and challenging behavior. They're going to have trouble sitting still, paying attention, concentrating, following rules and directions. They'll probably find it very hard to recognize and control their impulses, emotions, and behavior, communicate their needs appropriately, understand other feelings, or form satisfying relationships. And many adults are going to feel that way too, because we're all going through this together. And in addition, what happens is with this high level of cortisol, it can create a state of hypervigilance. And as a result, children might lash out for what they perceive as a threat. And you might not even recognize that perception and therefore not understand why are they behaving this way. But hypervigilance is also a symptom of our cortisol levels being extraordinarily high. In most situations, when we experience a trauma or toxic stress, our cortisol levels go up, but then they go down as we start to adjust. But because this trauma has been for 6 months now, our cortisol levels are all very high. It's going to take time for us to really readjust and reduce that level of cortisol.
Thank you, Nubia Latifa, for the super chat. I appreciate you. You all hit that super chat button or go to support Cash App Sajna Enterprises to support the network. I do my best to bring to you multi-million-dollar earning information here, things that my colleagues are teaching for thousands of dollars. And when I get on my network calls, they get on me all the time because they're like, why do you do this to us? And I said, because my people may not be at a position where they can vibrate and pay $1,500, let's say, for a session. I charge a less amount so that they can vibrate with that. And then I get them used to vibrating with information. So I ask you to Cash App. If your vibrational level can only produce $10 or $15 right now, then that's fine. We accept you at the vibrational level where you are because that's important so that we can help get you to that next level. So when we say, hey, we want to do this big international program and we need all of y'all to Cash App 500 or all of y'all to Cash App 100, you'll be able to say that's nothing. My vibrational match is way above that. So, and that's how I want us to start thinking about funding and money. And I'll talk to you about some of the other opportunities to support at the end of the show. But what the lady talked about was our cortisol levels. And when we are in that state where that hormone is overproducing and our body is going into fight or flight and it stays there, we are impacting our health. Just by learning how to manage how you think about something, you can shave 10 to 15 pounds off of yourself. Start watching your body and how your body responds. See, oftentimes we have such a mind-body disconnection that we don't know and don't realize that if you spend a week in a severely stressful situation, you're going to see a change or an impact in your body. Complete change or impact in your body. Some of us lose weight, some of us may gain weight, but if you start learning how to see things, how to manage things, how to be more balanced as you're moving through this territory where there's lots of new things coming at you, it's going to not only help your body, but it's going to help you become more successful. Why? Because what happens to all of us is we find a way to escape. And it's because you got to go back to the show we did on struggle. It's because of how we really, truly do see struggle. So we start struggling with something, we start resisting it, when in fact we should lean into what we're struggling with and dive into it and figure out why it's happening. So some of you, I just wanted to tell y'all, when you leave really long comments, I can't, it's fine, you can, but just don't expect me to be able to read them because I can't. My autism don't work like that where I can just look over and read the whole paragraph. For the most part, and sometimes if it's such a long paragraph, even if I can read it, it's so long and with so much, it may take us off subject. So if we're not in a position where we're flipping back and forth and just going through comments, which I'm going to try to do at the end of this show, don't feel some kind of way if I just show the short ones like this and I'm not showing one that you put up there and you may have a real legitimate concern. So at the end, if I can get to them, I'm going to go through all the big comments with questions and see if we can address it. That'd be probably in about 10 minutes or so. All right. So feel free to leave it, but just don't be feeling no kind of way because I didn't say nothing about it. All right. So again, keep in mind, real simple thought. Even if you don't know all the science about cortisol, understand that if we're suffering from something, could be autoimmune, could be something that is circulatory related, whatever we're suffering from, I want us to go back and think about our stress levels. What are we resisting? Because a lot of times it's not that something stresses us out, it's how we're responding to being stressed out by it, right? Like, what are we doing if we feel stressed out? Are we pushing against it? Are we drinking more? Are we smoking more? Are we gossiping more? Are we eating more? Are we lying more? Are we sneaking around at night doing dark things in the dark more? There's something that we're doing as a result of our response to trauma or some level of stress that we're not leaning into it. Even if we have trauma, we have to lean into that trauma and figure out how to get it up off of us, right? So I want us to be conscious of how to manage ourselves and our minds. And if you don't have a circle and people in your circle that can help you talk through these things, then you need to put some money aside and get a coach. I'm going to put how to book me right here, but you're gonna have to make sure that you have somebody help you handle it. Otherwise, it's either going to cause you stress, or you're not going to go to the next level, or you're not going to go as far as you could, or you may stumble into success this time and the next time you get caught up, especially if you're dealing with something where somebody is actively coming for you, like a legal situation, or an aggressive competitor, or somebody that thinks you're an enemy and you ain't really an enemy. Those people could cause you trauma too. You could be not even thinking about somebody. You could be going, you know what, I ain't even thinking about that person. But if they're plotting and planning and doing weird stuff, then it can very well affect you. Okay. Ask me any questions about this, because I want to make sure that we are navigating properly through these challenges, not raising those cortisol levels. So we're just living with the cortisol levels. And there's a lot of little signs that your cortisol levels are up. You should be taking supplements, okay, that help to balance out certain hormones. You should be taking supplements for your thyroid, for your circulation, for your kidneys, for your liver, for your immune system. You should be taking some type of vitamins and supplements. I can't tell you what to take. You got to know your body, because you want to make sure you're feeding those areas of your body so that as you're managing them mentally, it can cushion the blow that the body's going through while you're trying to figure it out in your mind. Okay. It's very, very important. Very, very important. You got to have your mental health time and your mental health days. Okay. How much are you meditating? How much are you praying? For me, I use meditation a lot. And so I'm meditating my way through, I'm thinking my way through these kinds of things. This is how important that kind of stuff is. You got to think your way through it, but in thinking your way through something, you got to know how to think. You like, oh, here we go. Here it is, real simple. If you find yourself just repeating yourself, you're on a hamster wheel, you're saying the same thing over and over again. You may be saying it in a different way, but you're just saying it over and over and over again. Okay. Then that means that your brain is not properly thinking. What it means is that your brain is you are trying to either convince yourself or somebody else that what you're saying is true. And strategically, or in the public, you keep doing that, people are going to be like, why does he keep repeating himself? So if you got a good person that works with you, we're going to say, okay, you don't have to say that anymore. We got it. But why are you doing that? Because you're not thinking properly. You're not injecting any new information into your brain. You're just regurgitating the same old thing over and over again in the name of analysis. Overanalyzing is never good. If you're a Virgo like me, we tend to overanalyze. So we have to make sure that in our analysis, we're bringing in additional information and at least playing out these scenarios in our head so that we're not repeating the same thing over and over again and then picking something not based on data, but picking something based on what keeps repeating in our head over and over again. It's like those of us who think that that's a sign. I just can't let it go. It's just in my head. Well, if you feel that way, then you got to ask yourself, is it in my head? Is it going around and round and round over and over again because I'm doing that? I'm over analyzing, and in my brain, I think that by repeating the same thing, I'm analyzing. Or is it a thought that just won't go away? But knowing ourselves helps us get to there. Little things you'll see. Blood pressure going up for no reason. Even eye twitches. Eye twitches are signs of high cortisol. You know how your grandma say, somebody about to visit us. You about to get some money. What is it? Is it this or that? Hand itching. Those are levels of high cortisol. Most people say, no, if it's the right hand, I'm getting money. If it's the left, I forget. But it's something about money, right? Well, usually it's stress. It's high cortisol. So the end of those nerve endings of the hand are being impacted because you're in fight or flight. It's not necessarily getting enough flow. So here's where we get mixed up. We think that if our hand is itching or twitching or that it means that we're going to get money or somebody's coming over. The minute we believe that, we draw it to us. And so we start to associate the hand itching or the eye twitching with that thing that we say it's a sign of. But in actuality, what got that thing to happen was you being in the right vibrational space, and you went there intentionally because you believed that the sign that you felt was an indication of that thing coming. So you believe that when your hand was itching, money was coming. It wasn't the hand itching that made the money come. It was your belief that the money was coming, and it came because you attracted it. You got in the right vibrational space with the money and you accessed it. Here's the problem. Once you got the money, you got out of the vibrational space and you didn't get it anymore. See, if you went there willingly, if you went to the vibration willingly, you could go there and stay there if you focus. Okay? Just a thought. All right, so let me see what we got here in the chat. Let me hit all of y'all. I see Sister Betty says, great morning, everyone. Sister Marvelous Marva with the pink on says, Assalamu alaikum. I said, wa alaikum salam. Happy Friday, Mom. Robert 11X Minor says ASA. That is an acronym for Assalamu alaikum for those of you who don't know. And we say to that, wa alaikum salam. And for those of you who don't know what Assalamu alaikum means, don't be offended. It just simply means peace be unto you. That's all. Sister Aurelia said, teach grand rising diversification is key to business success. It is. That's economics 101. Just over broke. I don't know what I was saying that made her say that. Different level of enemy based on the money. Based on the game that you're in, it's a different level. And what I cannot stand is when I see in pop culture, you got somebody who's making tens of millions of dollars a year, and there are enemies that they have at that level and issues that occur at that level that are then reported down on the pop cultural level, and people who making $50,000, $60,000 a year are expected to analyze it and understand it. It's crazy, right? So yeah, it's different. It's a different level. So, and here's the other thing. When we get to these other levels where we got different enemies, we got different challenges than what we used to have, or that maybe even what our family members have, we have to remember that we have to treat ourselves and see ourselves based on the level that we are on. What happens is we're over here trying to deal with these high level problems, but we're treating ourselves like a low level person. With that, your brain and your heart can never rise up to the high level that you need to function at if you're still seeing yourself as a low level person. Okay. I could say so much about that. Thank you again for the super chat. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Jamil. He said key information. Brother Robin 11X, I need this conversation. I'm meeting with lawyers in just a few hours today from May till this past Friday. I was stressed by city officials. Everything that you're saying I'm experiencing, Allah is God. All praises due to Allah, brother. May Allah bless you. We all got to scrub. Yep, we all got to scrub. True statement. Started an international disaster emergency management 30 years ago as a volunteer, now being offered big dollars as subject matter expert from governments and business. Yes, ma'am. Understand. And all praises due to Allah. Congratulations to you. Develop an extracted community-based international. Okay, I think she's repeating that part. And Cash App, Sajda Enterprises, whatever you're a vibrational match to right now, jump over to Cash App and send it or hit the super chat. If you only a vibrational match for it to $1 right now, that's no insult. But I'm just saying, if you're saying, look, I can only afford to give you $1, do that. Because it's more important to me that you take a moment right now to figure out what you're a vibrational match to. And you don't have to lie to yourself. You don't have to overspend. Just say, you know what? I'm right now only a vibrational match to $5. Send that, because that's going to help you to understand where you are right now in this moment, and then maybe even where you need to go in order so that you're a vibrational match for higher and more. And if you want to say, hey, I'm a vibrational match right now for $5,000, but I'm not going to send it, then that's fine. But at least you now know where you're a vibrational match to, but don't lie to yourself. One of the biggest impediments of our success is the lies that we tell ourselves. We sit there and go, I'm not a liar. I'm a vibrational match to such and such, because they're telling us to fake it until we make it. And the fake it until we make it is not encouraging us to put the work in. Faking until we make it should really become a vibrational match to it first, and then you'll make it flow. Okay? But decide right now, what are you a vibrational match to? Is it $2? Is it $5? Is it $10? Is it $100? Is it $5,000? And if this show has given you value, and you feel like, yeah, right now my excess that I can afford to give is this, and I believe it's worth that, then give it. And I want you to start thinking of that every time you're looking at the price of something. And if you have to say a lot, I'm looking at that, but I'm not a vibrational match to that right now, then you got a decision to make. You can say, I'm not a vibrational match to that right now, and I want to remodel my bathroom, but I'm not vibrationally matching to that right now, and I don't care, and I'm not going to work on it. Okay. Or you may say, I'm not a vibrational match to that right now, but I want it, and so I got to get there. And so what do? You start looking at photos of bathroom and analyzing the different things you want to do to the bathroom. You're relaxing a little bit so that you can already see yourself in your new bathroom. You can visualize this particular bathroom being gutted and redone. You start working on yourself mentally. You start realizing, I deserve this. Sometimes you have to say to yourself, you know what, now I'm sitting here acting like this is a big thing compared to what I really need. Sometimes you got to play with yourself a little bit and relax and be funny with it. But anyway, whatever your vibrational match to, you can send it. Disaster management, only profession that does not separate church and state. That's interesting. Good to know. Legalization, this is Brother Robin 11X. The legalization of weed has tremendously affected retail for the conscious entrepreneur. When the people can get everything they want or need in one place today, they shop there. So now who supports the conscious entrepreneur? Conscious people for the most part don't support our business. I've been in business 32 years and have witnessed and always have spoke on this sad reality. Well, Brother Robert 11X, I'll tell you like I tell my clients, then see, Black people spend money. Okay, conscious people spend money. If you're a Muslim, it costs a lot of money to be a Muslim in America. I don't know if you realize that, because you got to eat, right? You can't be eating no pork. You're trying to eat non-processed foods. You're trying to dress right. Most of us wear custom clothes, or we go to the modest section of the store and it's usually more expensive. We got private education. There is a lot. It's very expensive. So we have money. So what you would need to do is go through your businesses and figure out, what do you need to tweak that little thing to become a vibrational match to the customers that you want, whether they're Black or white, because remember, Black is not a monolith. Neither is consciousness. We're not all the same. So figure out the customer you want and what you got to do to vibrationally match yourself to that customer. In other words, what do you need to sell? What is your vibration? How is it your presentation? Is it really step back? And sometimes it's difficult for us to step back ourselves. We need help. We need a coach. We need somebody to say, this is what I see when I walk into your business. This is what I hear when I'm talking to you. When I see you as a person, this is what you represent. This is what your facial expression is saying to me. When I look at the documents for your business, it's making a statement. Okay? When I came by your office and met with you and your staff, this is what it said to me. And when you have that kind of data, now you can truly strategize. A lot of us don't want to do that because we can't bear what somebody's going to tell us, and we don't want to change. But sometimes it's just small tweaks. So I would encourage you, if this has been going on for 32 years, I would encourage you to start scrubbing yourself and scrubbing your business. This is not to say that you're doing anything wrong. It's to say that I'm scrubbing myself for the places where I am not in alignment. Sometimes I find myself not in alignment with certain things, and I'm okay with it. But then there are other things that I might not be in alignment with, and I have to say, let me work on that. Let me get that together. I meet entrepreneurs that have staff members that they can't stand, or they're leaders in an organization and they can't stand the people that report to them. And I said, well, if you don't like them, then what are you expected to produce out of them? You don't like them, then that means that the money that you are making is just from some other mechanism on automatic pilot, because they're certainly not attracting people to your business, nor are they being attracted to you in a genuine way, because you don't even like them and you treat them like you don't like them. I've met with people who are the heads of organizations say, I can't stand these MFers. Well, that explains it. And I'm not saying that applies to you, brother. I'm talking about something else now, but I'm just using examples of how we have to scrub. It's time right now to scrub yourself. We are living in a day and time. I always say, if it ain't going to be but 144,000 of them, then you have to do the math. It's time to scrub. It is time to scrub. We are facing, especially those of us as Muslims, we are facing a space and time where things may change. And if things change, we have to make sure that whatever it is, when it comes to us, when it comes to me, it's for the better. Anything is going to push me closer to my Father and to Allah. Anything. That's not just for us as Muslims, but for everybody. Bring it, because whatever challenge it is, it's just going to bring me closer to him, and that's the ultimate reward. That's a personal stand. You may have a different stance on that. My point being is talking us through how to think mathematically so we can reduce these cortisol levels that are caused by these disagreements that we're having in our brain that we're not talking to nobody about, the trauma that we're still holding on to that we're not working to get up off of us, the situations that we're getting ourselves into because we're stressed out when we're making these decisions. And then we're too stressed out to figure out how to get ourselves out of it. All of this is because we've got some deficiencies in our mathematical thinking abilities that we all have to work on. All right. Okay, let's see. Assalamu alaikum and blessed Friday. Can't wait to go back and listen to the beginning. Sister Monica. Wa alaikum salam, sis. I skipped this one. Sister Aurelia said people will spend money when you look like money. That's true. That's unfortunate, but that's true. Scrubbing self in business. Yeah, you got to scrub them. Scrub yourself. Got to scrub it. Scrub your mind, scrub your thoughts. What are you thinking about? What are you doing negatively? What conversation did you have when you saw your sister the other day? What conversation did you have when you saw your brother the other day? Are you constantly regurgitating a person's faults in your mind, or are you striving to help them elevate and move to another direction? Are you a beacon of light, or are you something that repels people? What are you? What are you doing? See, because you at the party, everybody should be wanting to come to the party. Because you're at the mosque, you should be attracting everybody to the mosque. Because you're at the church, the line should be down the sidewalk because you and I are up in the church. So where we are should be magnetizing people towards it. If it's not, let's start scrubbing. Let's start scrubbing. All right. Let's see. Brother says you're very on point. All praises due to Allah. Thank you, sir. Thank you all very much. I am going to go and I got to do some cleanup at the house today. So I got my construction jumpsuit on. I'm ready to go. I got my steel-toe. I got some steel-toe gym shoes. They're so cute because I don't really like wearing Timberlands, but you need something to protect yourself, you know, on your feet. You might as well be cute to do it. So Timberland makes these steel-toe gym shoes that I love. Good point, Sister Aurelia. She said more final calls sold in suits than sweatpants. Yeah. I think one of the, that's right, them steel toes, girl. Yes. So I think one of the powerful things about the FOI is when they're in Class A. And it's just something about it. If they are on post in Class A, if you hire them for security or they work with you and they're in Class A, it just makes a different statement, whole different statement. Makes a statement about who owns them and what their standards are, right? Says a lot. And even though and here's the thing that looking the part, thank you for this comment. The thing that looking the part can do for you is it can reduce your stress levels. Did you know that? If you look a certain way, right? Let's say you're a brother and you're in Class A and you're working security. People are probably less likely to try the brother in Class A than the one that's in Class C, meaning he got his warm-up pants on, they a little raggedy and a little wrinkled, because they just gonna think he's just a Negro, or they just gonna think, he ain't gonna do nothing. He owns something else. But when that brother step out and he suited and booted in that Class A, they tend to back up. It makes a statement. It makes a true statement. All right, family. Love you all. Tune in tomorrow. We're just going to chat. If you've been enjoying the shows this week, let me know in the chat. Hit the super chat button. Cash App, Sajda Enterprises. You can also Zelle Wendy100m@gmail.com. We encourage you to support Sajda House. Go to sagehouse.com, join the mailing list. We are very close to putting out our upcoming schedule for Savior's Day. The summer series, we're close to that. And you want to be in the know. We're planning out the Black History Month schedule, and Savior's Day, I'm telling you, it's going to fill up fast. So get on the mailing list. Go on the site, scroll to the bottom. It says vibrate with us. And where it says vibrate with us, you're going to click that, and it's going to tell you, ask you all this information, and you can be on the mailing list. Coin holders are going to get the first shot at responding to the schedule. And then other people on the mailing list will be the next group that will send stuff out. We've got a big database we're working with, been working on this database for 6 years or more, because I brought my own personal database over to this. So we got thousands of people that we're going to be accessing. So even when we put the call out for event sponsors, I want you to think about that. And I'll do a show on event sponsorships soon. I actually wrote it out. I'll go over it tomorrow. I actually wrote it out, and I was going to go over it. But if you want to be an event sponsor, gift bags, a line item on a commercial, product placement for certain conscious products only, that kind of stuff. Send an email, get with us, join the mailing list so you can find out. So we make that announcement, you can respond. I'm going to make a landing page now so that you all will be able to go. You can sponsor things inside of Sajda House. So my event sponsorships are for my business and healthcare events, as well as events that my other entity is producing at Sajda House. But then there's also Sajda House sponsorships, right? The iconic living room, the How to Eat to Live kitchen. You can have your name added to that list of people that support it. Those are available. And then also the QR code here is our virtual gift shop. Holidays are coming. You got Kwanzaa, you got Hanukkah, you got Savior's Day, you got Christmas. Y'all know y'all out here buying gifts. Buy a gift that matters. All right. Love you all. I appreciate you all. Wishing you more goodness than you've ever received or imagined. And I will see you all, inshallah, tomorrow. I won't have my construction clothes on. So, and it's a cold, snowy construction day today here in Chicago as well. But it's all right. You know, your girl out here working, need your support. Can't wait to show you what we're doing. And those of you who are my clients, I'm so grateful for you. I've been telling you all this year. Thank you. Appreciate you. We got some special stuff coming up. I'm still trying to decide how we're going to do New Year's Eve, if we're going to do something special or not. Y'all let me know in the comments if y'all want to hang out New Year's Eve online or in person, or how we're going to do it. And we got to do a goal setting party. We got to get back to those. So maybe some kind of hybrid where we have an in-person and then we're also broadcasting it. That might be fun, right? Oh, we'll think about it. All right. Peace and blessings, family. Love you all.